after the way last year ended, this year, when they start 2-2, then they have the ugly win against Cleveland. He's yelling at the fans. This thing could have gone sideways. The fact that they now go into the playoffs 13-4, I think he deserves a ton of credit for. Like, again, I'm no big fan of his, or it was 14-3, whatever it is.
It's time now for a segment so hot, my grandmother got in trouble at the home for sneaking it into her IV drip. It's upset alert. I said, Grandma, you can't do that. It's dangerous. She said, mind your business. Quick update on the upset alert standings. Brew coming in with the silver medal. Me and Danny Parkins in a ill-fated attempt to shake off my funk, but then he lost the game. I came in with the bronze. And then Greg
it's not really
and Coach.
the bronze. It's last place.
It's bronze.
You came in last place by a lot. By a lot.
While Coach and Greg take home the victory. And you might be saying, what do I get other than bragging rights? Well, it's a good question. Ramsey and I went out and got you. We were like, oh, should we get him a trophy? Like, trophies are kind of played. For winning our first scored upset alert.
Wow.
We got this for you, but it is like a heavyweight championship belt. You don't get to keep it home. You can lose it pretty much next week, probably.
No, you can't lose it during
at the end of the.
This is like the MVP. It's a regular season.
Yeah, it's a regular
thing,
season.
right?
We're going to have a new competition with a new award for the playoffs.
Congratulations.
Wow. This
Bucs Tiny Phil.
This is going right next to my Super Bowl ring.
No, you can't.
Look at that. I'd like to thank the Carolina Panthers for all that you did for Greg and I this year.
That's great.
The Arizona Cardinals, you were outstanding. Thank you.
Part of the responsibility now, you have to lead off the segment alongside Bucs Tiny Phil football.
Okay, well, this is a good luck charm, as you can see. Yeah, I bet you're going to be shocked by who I'm choosing.
Okay, well, I feel like I know who you're choosing.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be Washington. It's going to be Washington.
I am shocked.
Are you?
Yeah, I thought you were definitely going with Houston. So, no, yeah, I am shocked. Go ahead.
I'm going Washington, and here's why. So they're riding the longest winning streak of anybody going into the playoffs, right? They've won 5 straight. And when you look at Jaden Daniels, you look at what he's done as a running quarterback, and I know, Nick, you criticized him a lot about how thin he was, and he probably couldn't hold up.
I'm worried about him.
I don't know if you knew that he broke the record for rushing for quarterbacks this year.
Imagine if he didn't miss time with cracked ribs.
And it's pretty impressive running quarter, but he did it. And so the first time they played Tampa Bay, he had 88 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. So that's a plus. And then when you look at his quarterback rating, he had 100.1, which is 4th all-time for rookie quarterbacks. And for a thin guy, that's pretty good too. And then the last time they played Tampa Bay, he had a 93 quarterback rating. That is his first game of the season, his first game as a pro, and he's improved significantly from that point. I'd say that the biggest thing that's defined his season is the moments that he's had. So he had the moment against the Giants where he led them back to win that game. He had the moment against Chicago with the Hail Mary. He had the moment against Philadelphia where he wins with 10 seconds left. So the playoffs, to me, don't seem like it's going to be too big for him. And I really like what he's been talking about all week long about having the same process and looking at it the same way. So I think his perspective is very good. And then when you shift your focus to Baker, I've loved what he's done and the way that he's revitalized his career, and he's gritty and all those things, but he's also taking a lot of chances, and he leads the NFL in interceptions, and he leads all quarterbacks in turnover-worthy plays. And the last thing I'll say is Tampa Bay's 30th against the pass. Okay, so that's a problem for them, especially with Jaden throwing the ball as well as they do, where on the flip side, the Commanders have been very good against the pass. And I'd say that the last portion is Tampa hasn't been that great at home. They're 5-4 at home, a little bit over 500. So all those things line up for this to be like C.J. Stroud,
I like that a lot.
to be able to be Rookie of the Year and then win the playoff game convincingly in Tampa.
So I don't love it, but I'm going to add one thing you didn't mention. The Commanders at the deadline paid more for their deadline acquisition than any team in the league. They traded for Marshawn Lattimore. It traded, I think, a 2nd-round pick or a high 3rd-round pick, whatever it was. It was the most anybody paid for anyone at the deadline. Lattimore had the bum hamstring and wasn't able to play for a big bulk of the season. But he's back. Here's why I bring it up. Marshawn Lattimore is really known for two things. One,
Awesome.
he's been pretty awesome for about a decade. The other one is he and Mike Evans
Yeah, we're back.
just seemingly can't stand each other. And they used to play twice a year, every year in New Orleans. And now you get Marshawn Lattimore lined up against Mike Evans. Now, last time they played, it was, every time they play, it's a crazy back-and-forth battle. So maybe that plays out in the Bucs' favor, maybe plays out in your favor, but it is an intriguing.
I just had one more point. Terry McLaurin really wasn't productive early on at last time they played, and there's going to be a concerted effort to get him much more involved in the game plan this time.
I like these a lot.
All right, so I don't participate in Upset Alert.
No.
Probably a good thing.
Yeah, it's the only way you're holding that thing.
It would have been
that much right now. But Brew does, obviously.
Yes.
He's not here today. So I have to make his pick on his behalf.
I think I know what you're doing. But
What do you mean? Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go.
You should be doing J-Lo.
Over the Packers over Eagles?
Yeah.
Obviously,
Okay,
that's what I'm doing.
you love
You thought I was going to screw them?
Well, I don't
Just
know.
go Steelers over Ravens?
Okay.
No. What did they write? Jay, no, you didn't. Love upsets Philly. And this is where Brew would say a bunch of nonsense about how Philly actually is not that good and how the Packers actually, even though they can't beat a good team all year, it's going to change this week, and how he still really believes in a Super Bowl pick. I don't believe any of that.
Come on, you didn't prep anything for Brew?
Wow.
I'm not going to.
I thought you were going to prep the whole thing and deliver Brew's.
Okay, you want me
Three
to
full
All right,
screens.
you want me to give you Brew's full thing? I'll give you Brew's full thing. Here's why the Packers are going to go into Philadelphia and get the win. First of all, check on Philly's vibes lately. Not great ever since they didn't let Saquon get get the rushing title. Secondly, Jordan Love, all he does is win round one playoff games. Walks into Dallas, gets a win. Now walks into Philadelphia, gets a win. Lastly, Nick, you're always saying you look at the coach, look at the quarterback. What coach do you trust more in this, Nick? Matt LaFleur or Nick Sirianni? And that's where I'd be like, well, I guess it's Matt LaFleur. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why the Packers are going to win. He'd say all this stuff. Here's the thing. His heart hasn't been in the Packers all year.
I know.
And every time we talk NFC, he prefaces it with a really mealy mouth. Now, my pick's still the Packers, but here's why the Lions are great. Here's why the Eagles are great.
Yeah.
But he told us earlier in the week it was Packers,
Okay,
his pick's
so he'll
better.
get credit for that. All right. Now it's time for the original Puxatawny Phil of football to deliver his upset alert.
Coach is bad.
Remember the origin of upset alert, okay? An alert.
Okay.
It's somehow morphed into, if you're not picking an outright winner, you're not doing your job. That's not true. I went back and looked at the old upset alerts. They're just alerts. The Bills should be on alert against Bo Nix and the Broncos. Just an alert. Could I see something strange happening and the Broncos walk out of there with a win? Sure. Why? Because I'm the only one that seems worried about the Bills' defense, which has not been good. The first 12 games, they were good. The last 5 games, and this includes the game against Aaron Rodgers doing nothing, and against the Patriots, who struggled, and even though we won the game, I guess, so throw that in there. The Bills haven't been good. They gave a ton of points to the Rams. They gave a ton of points to the Lions. I do not trust this Bills defense, even though everyone thinks they were good because they were good early on in the year. Secondly, I'm attuned to what's happening in the sports universe, whether it's on the field, whether it's written in periodicals, or whether it's on social media. And every once in a while, someone will send me a graphic, then another person will send me a graphic. Some person will say, hey, use this, use this, use this. I say, you know what? I will use that.
Is this the Bo Nix, Josh Allen?
Indeed it is.
That's a great one.
Oh, his last 8.
Josh
That is
tweaked
a
it a
great
little
one.
bit.
Okay.
There's a few different versions, so Josh put his own spin on it. If this was a blind reveal, these quarterbacks look pretty much exactly the same.
True receiving TDs on.
So Josh is properly rated. Bo Nix has been criminally underrated since draft day, when there's no talk about Bo Nix going number 1. J.J. McCarthy had more talk about going number 1.
Well, yeah, you shouldn't have had talk about going number 1.
Or 2.
Or, yeah, you shouldn't have.
Or 3.
Yeah, exactly. You think he's better than Drake May?
I don't. But when I look at it, I was like, the guy's putting up numbers. The guy's catching touchdowns. The guy had the longest reception in the NFL this year. And he's going up against a Bills defense that has been floundering.
Okay, that's all fair.
The Bills are on alert. Definitely.
I don't know if before we get to Nick's picks, we can show the Bo Nix touchdown catch again. This is exactly why all year, and I'm the Josh Allen guy this year, I said the Josh Allen receiving touchdown thing is nonsense to me. What Bo Nix, this is a quarterback catching a touchdown.
Yeah.
A quarterback throwing a pass, that guy then panicking and lateraling it back to the quarterback, and because of an odd statistical rule, that being called a receiving touchdown is nonsense.
Pro Bowl.
And so that is a real receiving touchdown.
Like that he caught it against his body. He could accept.
I mean, come on, he's trying to protect himself. Time now for what used to be the best pick segment on this network.
Silver medal.
Brought to you by our friends at DraftKings. Rough week 18 for me. There's no getting around it. Despite the week 18, still over 60% against the spread documented. Only one other person on sports television can say they were over 60% against the spread this year.
Who?
All of sports TV. This clown, who I used to call my best friend, and now I just call the most annoying person in the world. Danny Parkins. And his 63%.
I saw that in Times Square when I was walking around. I thought,
I mean, look at this time lapse. This thing going for hours.
Yep.
It's great. It's a big win for his career.
It's a huge win for his career,
that.
which is why it's going to be so painful when I whoop his, you know what? I'm going to take my own advice. Tail, Fanny, as you would say, in the playoff picks. I'm not picking 3 games anymore. I'm picking every game of the slate every weekend.
Wow.
So let's quickly go through it. First one in chronological order. Coach, you'll be happy. Houston +3. 3-point dogs at home against Chargers. There's too much Charger love. Herbert in a road playoff game, I don't know, man. Seen it once before, didn't go great. Also, the Chargers have been living off the fact that they never turn the ball over. That's great, but it also means if they do have one time a bounce goes against them, I don't know how they recover from it. Derek Stingley typically plays on the outside. The Chargers only have one guy that scares you, Ladd McConkey. Will they tell Stingley, just follow him even if it means being on the inside, then what are they going to do with where are they going to throw the ball? And the only quality win the Chargers have all year is against the Broncos. The Broncos, another team who can't beat good teams, so somebody had to win those games. Houston +3. Next one's easiest pick of the weekend. You're giving me Pittsburgh and you're giving me almost 10 points. Give me a break. Pittsburgh +9.5. I could bore you with all of the stats on Tomlin in the division as underdog. Tomlin against Baltimore as underdog. The fact that 9 of the last 10 games between these teams have been a one-score game and Pittsburgh's won the vast majority of them. You know all those things. You also know that Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, not great. How many points do you think Baltimore's scoring this week? I would be shocked if they cracked 24. So to cover, can Pittsburgh get to 16? I think so.
Maybe.
Pittsburgh +9.5. Next, I'll lay the 8.5 with Buffalo. Listen, in order for Denver to cover the 8.5, they better score at least 24. They might need to score 30. Buffalo loves getting overmatched round 1 opponents in their building and dropping 30+ on them. They do it every single year. Again, I'm going to bore you guys with the rookie quarterbacks on the road stat. 3 rookie quarterbacks in NFL history have won road playoff games. 3 ever. Russ, Sanchez, Flacco. That's the list. Broncos, since October, the Broncos have beaten the Chiefs backups, the Colts, Cleveland, the Raiders, and Atlanta when they were starting Kirk Cousins. They are not ready for this level of competition. I'll lay the 8.5. Last 3, I'll go quickly. Philly -4.5. This line should be 7, flatly. I would be very surprised if the Eagles don't win by a touchdown. I'll lay the 4.5 with Philly. Sorry, Coach. Tampa -3. All the rookie quarterback stuff still applies. We can go on to the next one. And Bake Show is a playoff legend. 5th most yards per game of any player ever. Wildes and Coach and Brew all yelled at me last week because I cared about a Week 18 comeback victory with the playoffs on the line. They're like, oh no, what about Brock Purdy? Shut up. And lastly,
that's too much.
Monday, no, it's not too much. Lastly, the Rams, so I have the better coach, I have the better quarterback, and I'm getting points. What are we doing? The Rams +2.5. That's it. There it is. 6 picks of the week. That's a 6-0 weekend.
Okay.
Pick 6-0, I am 43% of the way to my 13-0 playoff.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.